Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Now recently I just posted a video on the YouTube channel of a little bezel set opal pendant that I made. For a first attempt it wasn't too bad. And one thing I forgot to do, and the video was probably long enough anyway, so I'll do it in this one, standalone, is just go through the bare essential equipment that I use to do it. On a lot of the other big, like professional YouTube channels that do jewelry, they do have these videos where they talk about the essential equipment, but then they list like 4 million items, and I think it's just because they do so much jewelry. So we'll just focus on what I needed to get started on going with this, because I've bought so many kits and stuff, and most of the tools I'm probably never ever going to use. For what I want to do, it's actually really basic equipment. So we'll just go through it. I think the most important thing is the torch. So currently I've upgraded to this bigger torch. You add on these little canister things onto it directly. I do have a smaller one, just one of those one piece kind of things. You inject the gas into the bottom of it and keep refilling it. I found that for the larger size pendants, it's not hot enough. So I've ended up just getting this one, and maybe one day I'll upgrade to a proper jeweler's oxyacetylene or oxyhydrogen torch or something, but for now this is going to be able to do everything I need. Pretty cheap at a hardware shop. I can probably pop up a picture of how much it was and where I bought it. So no matter what we're doing, we're going to need some sort of heat. Maybe this will be overkill if you're just doing small rings or something, but for me it works really well. I just need to get used to controlling the flow rate, because I always tend to undershoot and take it way too slowly. Pretty basic one. So for my sawing and everything and filing, I always use my little bench peg kind of thing. This is a really cheap one. You can get pretty expensive ones, but this one just literally clamps onto my desk right on the front edge. Already caused a couple nicks and stuff in it, but that's why it's made out of wood. And with that, I'm just using a very basic saw. I've got a whole assortment of saw blades, but I use a 3-0 blade as a default. For the lubrication, I just use natural beeswax, just a stick of that, and then you just slide your blade through it and then get sawing away. Right here by the blade is actually this dental floss. I've marked it with a little bit of black texture to mark it as my my special jewelry dental floss. So that's just to stop the stone from getting stuck inside the bezel when I'm doing test fits and stuff. Super important. If you don't do that, you're gonna find yourself in a world of pain. Copper tongs or tweezers. Why? Because I'm using a citric acid pickle. I don't want to add any other metals to it, so just the copper tongs for getting it in and out without contaminating anything or really killing the pickle solution. So this is just in a jar with water. It's like a 1:6 ratio or something, and yeah, I pickle my items in there for 20 odd minutes when I finished each soldering job. Works incredibly well. It'll clean almost anything, which is really cool. You get worried at first, but once you leave it in here for a while and take it out and give it a wipe, it cleans up incredibly well, so don't stress. The only other chemical really involved in all of this is the Flux. So I'm just using this handy Flux. I'm probably gonna swap out of the handy Flux. I'm not a huge fan of it. It works, but the paintbrush is a huge fat messy applicator, and I've got a smaller paintbrush that I use now to get the stuff out, and you just need to add some distilled water to it every now and then to get it into a better consistency, because it turns into like a real gluggy thick glue, which I'm not a huge fan of. And then other important things. So this is my soldering block. I've also got a charcoal block and stuff, but I don't tend to use the charcoal block. If I need to get higher heat, then the charcoal block will be needed. But with a bigger torch, I'm finding that this block is good enough. It does heat up pretty hot though, so you need to put something fairly fireproof behind it. And then a lot of the smaller tools. So I've just got a regular pair of tweezers, pointy ones, just to help manipulate some things around, especially when you got heat. You can see that it's a little bit charred and crispy on the end now. I do tend to hold things with these when I'm blowtorching them. A little titanium pick for moving around your little solder balls and everything when I'm using those. Curved burnisher. I like the curved one rather than the straight one. I don't know where the straight one would be better, but for everything I've done so far, the curved one is really good. Bezel roller. There are other options. In fact, I've got one right here. So this is a square pusher. It doesn't have the slit in it. It's not the prong pusher. The prong pusher's just got a little tiny cut down here so that you can put the prong inside it and don't slip off to the side or whatever and scratch your stone. I've just been using the roller, and I think I like it a little bit more. I can just hit a wider area and basically smoosh down the walls a little bit smoother. I haven't had any bezels start wrinkling yet. This has really helped with that, and just getting your bezel heights and thicknesses and everything right is probably the main reason, but just using this and doing it nice and slow and steady is really good. And then the last thing I really do rely on, because maybe my other skills are still not quite up to scratch, are needle files. So the needle files are really good. Cleaning the inside of a bezel wall after you've soldered it together, or just making sure ends meet very flush by using the flat ones. So it's really good to have a set of needle files, and I would get good quality needle files. I've used some at work that are absolutely horrible, but if you can find yourself a good set, go for it. They are definitely worth it because I rely so heavily on these. I probably shouldn't, but I definitely do as a beginner. And one other thing that I forgot. The flex shaft comes in handy and lets me do a little bit of the metal polishing at the end, so you just need the metal polishing stick as well, which I just got from the hardware shop. And honestly, with just these tools, you can do exactly what I did on this one here. Of course, there are a lot of nice to haves. There's nice to have a range of pliers. I really like these square ones. They help also make sure my ends are really flush. And if there is any curling of anything, then I can just clamp them in this or meet the two ends together and pinch them in like that and just make sure that they're really, really up against each other. Nice to have like fancy pliers with different ends on them. I need to get like one that's flat on one side and round on the other, like a half round. I'm sure over time I'll end up with a collection of 1,000 different pliers. Getting good quality snips is also helpful. You can speed up a few of your cutting operations, especially the ones that are a little bit less precise. And you can always tidy it up with the files, which is what I do anyway, especially with the bezels. But also just cutting up the little solder pallions and stuff, I just use this. But yeah, I think that's where the professional channels get really broad and really just start adding on thousands and thousands of tools, which are all very useful. I'm sure in their right setting, it's incredibly useful. But for people like me, it was so hard to get started in this. So I've overbought everything. And now I've found out that I only need half the stuff I've actually bought. So if you want to get started and just mess around with it and you want to get in as cheap as possible, just look for these very few things and you'll be good from there. You can just add to your collection later on. I've got a lot of other things already because I use a lot of things like calipers and stuff on a general basis anyway. So all of that I've already got. I'm sure you've got a bunch of pliers and stuff that you can use that are fine. Tweezers and stuff are also pretty handy. But for those just getting started, yeah, just buy the absolute minimum stuff. You want to have just enough to be able to go from start to finish, but you don't want to buy the entire jewelry shop just to get a simple kind of bezel setting like this done. So I really hope that helps other people that have been thinking about getting into it, because I know this was my sticking point. This was the biggest issue, and thankfully the YouTube channel and everyone supporting the YouTube channel has let me just go ahead, and I think I bought a kit for sawing. I think I bought a kit for soldering. I think I bought a kit for setting. And then yeah, I bought the torch and stuff. I've got all the pliers already, but I ended up buying a bunch of these kits, and a lot of it I'm just not going to need. So they're all just going to sit on the shelf until I find a good use for them. But when you're learning to walk before you run, you really just need the basics, the fundamentals, and then just keep practicing each of those little components, and eventually you'll be able to get good jewelry, or at least I'm hoping. 2025, I'm hoping to get it a little bit down pat. I've got my baseline measurement done, so my starting point, and we're just only going to get better from there. But that's the basic tools. And now that I've got them all out, I might do another piece myself. See if I can do better than last time, and every time I try to do a new piece, I'll keep trying to do it a little bit better than the last one, and who knows, maybe one day I'll be okay at it. And I'd really like to look back on this video in a couple years time and see how much my toolkit has changed from what you can see here. So hopefully that helps and you can join me on the journey, and I'll see you in the next video. Catch you guys.